Hello, everybody. We're now into week 5. Many of you have done excellent work on your concept maps. You're building on milestones 1 and 2 and are ready to move forward into milestone 3, which should help you to solidify your baseline for your paper. Some of you are not. For those folks who received some feedback, please keep the following in mind. First of all, you must follow through when I make directions for changing your work. This ensures your success. Many of you think this is an exercise in your opinion or in some ideas that you might have. While your opinion is valuable, this is a class where the projects are based on empirical evidence. Often there are 2 different perspectives and evidence for or against each. That's okay, you can present both. You must ground your assertions in the research literature, even if it is a perspective that we might not necessarily agree with. For example, I'm the product of a single parent. There's a link between single parenthood and poverty. I don't like that. That doesn't make me comfortable. But it's not a moral question or a question of what your religious tradition thinks of it, or your opinion, but of an empirical fact that is grounded in research evidence. I don't want it to be this way, but it is. First, most households where there are 2 parents have 2 incomes. Those with 1 parent have 1 income. This is a simple math problem, compounded with the reality that women make less money than men, and that child care in the United States is not a right, but a commodity that must be paid for. It's a service that has to be paid for. You cannot make bald assertions without empirical evidence. Race, for example, is not correlated with incidences of drug abuse. It just is not. People of color are less likely to use drugs, but more likely to be interdicted by the justice system versus a medical system for drug offenses. Similarly, although there are more reported incidences of police interactions that result in violence on the part of arresting officers that are documented, and that word documented is key, there are 600,000 police and 300 million people. Most police interactions with anyone don't result in violence against people. In fact, most police interactions don't result in violence at all. We need to focus on those that do. There is the empirical question there. Okay, that's the question, and that's the basis. Okay. So, third, poverty, and some of you have asserted this, is very weakly related with crime. Okay. Most poor people are not criminals. It's just that most criminal activity happens in poor neighborhoods. Do you see the difference? So if you don't want to commit what's termed an ecological fallacy in confounding a cause and effect relation between correlation, then you have to take certain steps. You know, there's a correlation between ice cream consumption and murder in the United States, but it doesn't. The 2 aren't related. There's some other factor that affects them. That would be heat. Okay? So how do you guard against making this ecological fallacy, or just giving me your opinion and then like having it sit there wrong? Okay? You use empirical research. Many of you did. Many of you I think have, but just forgot to include it. I can determine that from looking at your charts. And many of you are just a few of you are far away from that. What does that mean? You can't make a statement based on what you've heard or what your belief system tells you. You have to ground your assertions in research. You might, as I have found in looking at single parenthood, not like what the evidence says, but this is the difference in a class in opinion, which this is not, and a class in social science. The aspect is on the word science. Okay? Some of you have not followed through, secondly, on the directions that I provided for milestone 1. You must do the following. SNHU provides some writing prompts to get you thinking about what you might want to work on for a topic. One of these is drugs and alcohol. Another one is crime and violence. Okay, these are very general topics. In the case of drugs and alcohol or addiction would be the statement. You would need to focus on that. Okay, another one, they're very general. You cannot effectively write a paper on drug and alcohol. Stop. If you did, then you did not follow through on what I told you to do in Milestone 1, and you need to go back now and really work hard and retool it. That's not only an entire class, it's an entire major addiction treatment. Okay, so you must focus. For drugs, there's an opioid epidemic. There's the issue of handling drug issues through the justice versus medical system. There are many factors. For alcohol, you've got like DUI limits, drunk driving. Do 12-step programs work or not? There's empirical evidence, but you've got to narrow it. You can't write me a general paper and expect to do well on these milestones. You can't cover every aspect of this in a concept map. So when I tell you to narrow your focus, if I see you haven't by the time milestone 3 comes around, the grades are gonna be impacted more and more negatively. Now, most folks have done fine work. So, and I've tried to communicate this in whatever I told you to do. Your grade will be an accurate reflection of what you need to do. Okay, you need to stick and think about these categories and stick with these categories and work them. I will provide a link to the Writing Center so that you can get another set of eyes on this assignment. Sometimes when I write, and I do write, I have to have other sets of eyes. It's not people who are kind of new or novice to this process think that they might take it personally. Don't do that. Just go to the Writing Center and get them to help you. I wish I had a Writing Center for me. I can tell you that. Everyone makes these errors. And you can correct them. And I've seen people turn this work around and do really magnificent work. But you're going to have to follow through if you receive these directions from me. You'll need to follow through, please, for success. Thanks, and have a great rest of week 5.